Greetings. I have here the third of the journals that I have been working on over the Christmas holidays, and now of course we're into January. But I've been working on journals on England and London because I have this huge stash and I just happen to love England, and I've been there several times. I plan to go back this summer. And so I have been using a lot of my stash to bring this book to you. Once when I was in London, I was able to pick up this piece of fabric that I actually used on the side here of the book. And so that's actually what I'm including here as something that can be used as a tie. It stretches. And so you could cut it in half or use it as it is, or cut it into strips, or put another ribbon or something around here. But this is what I am including because I wanted to keep it in keeping with the spine here. So my name is Emily, and I am a lover of all things junk journals and all things England. And so I have been working on these journals. This is the third one. So my Etsy store's yesterday stash, and I have been now kind of completed this little project, although I still have a lot of stash, and I use so much of the things that I gather or collect from England. This one here is called The Guards, and it's something that I picked up. It's about the changing of the guards. I'm using British Style. I subscribe to this magazine. Another book called Over London. I've cut some pictures out of that. I love to look at these magazines and cut out pictures. Country Living is another magazine that I subscribe to. One called Flower. This is called The English Home. I subscribe to that. And then this is a book that was put out. It's called the London Annual, and this was from 2018, and it's got some great pictures in it. So that's just an example of how I use different things, as well as I have a huge stash of lace. In fact, this book actually has 35 different laces or trims in it. It is 42 pages, front and back makes 84, and I have 53 tags in here, and I have used 3 or 4 different Etsy sellers, and I'll have those, I think it's at least 4, it might be 5 Etsy sellers in the description box below. But this particular one is a whole set of vintage London that I have used in here. So it has four signatures, and in the middle is a pink lace, and I've extended the lace to out here on both sides, both the front and the back. And in order for it, I hate books to pop up like this, so I have also included lots of different other things with the this that I actually made, or that kind of go with the theme of this book. So that will be included in the box where I include the book. Here are 3 different types: a wider lace here, medium-sized, and then another one that's more of a crochet that I've included in here. So in addition to pictures out of magazines and using different papers, this is actually vellum that I have on the front and the back. This is one of the pictures of from one of the sellers. And that I just really enjoy making different tags. So I have included different laces, different types of paper, trims, different kits, and different. I also collect pictures of England from. This is actually a picture of Bath. It's called the Pulteney Bridge. and that's in here. This is a picture of Buckingham Palace, and this is, I've also included some little pieces of charms. This one is, of course, the crown. And throughout the book, I think I've got about a dozen different little charms, keys, and different things of this nature. So this is a map of London. This is an old, I also cut out pictures from magazines. This is an old magazine picture. I have a huge collection of old magazines as well. So I go through and I find these really neat. One thing about England that is so interesting is that they have so many castles, and some of them they have repaired, some of them they have kind of had to let go. It depends on the situation, but they have lots of different societies that try to preserve these buildings. This particular one is Newstead, and it's in Nottinghamshire. Nottinghamshire is what it's actually supposed to say. And then this is a napkin that I put on the back. Keep calm and drink tea. Lots of sewing machine. This is actually part of an envelope where I put several envelopes together, and this is the pocket that goes with that. We have here another little charm of an angel. I've done some interesting sewing on the borders and the sides. This is a kind of an interesting map of England, or I guess I could say the UK, tags from one of those sellers. In the middle, I have put, actually, these are pieces of roses, I guess. It's a piece of rose fabric. This is just an example of some crochet lace. Another tag from one of those kits. This is some of my lace. One of the things features in here is some of the queens or famous women of England. I've got about 4 pictures. This one has a pocket in it that I have stuck something a little like way to do some journaling. But this particular picture here is of not quite sure, the Queen of England, Elizabeth the First, I'm sorry. This is some journaling paper. This is the other side of that set of envelopes or papers that I put together and sewed around and put some lace on. This is an advertisement from when England was at war. These are some stickers that I've gotten off of from an Etsy seller, which I will include that in the description box. This is the back side of that vellum, and this is a picture of one of the houses in row houses. They're very popular in London. This is a picture of the Parliament House and the Big Ben. This is part of the cloisters of Westminster Cathedral. A musical note, some of the lace that I have. Welcome to England, keep calm and think of England. I like to take old dictionary pages and cut them out and put some distressing around them, and they can be used. That can be used for journaling on. Some journaling. This is actually let me see. I think that's from Old London. That's from Artie Mays, so that's another seller that I use quite a bit. And this is a building. On the back it explains about the 2 buildings. This one is Baconthorpe Castle, and this is Leeds Castle. So there's just a little bit of information about both of those castles and how they have been restored. Many times England will turn those buildings into museums or bed and breakfasts, or they will be sold and used as, even remade into hotels. I just think it's really interesting how they have taken those buildings and tried to restore them. This is another ad Buy British and put a smile back into British trade. Here is a quote from Jane Austen, a London tag. And here's another example of how you can take paper and turn it into journaling pages. Here's another picture of, this is Mary Queen of Scots, and the envelope here has a little tag in it. A lot of sewing, machine sewing over lace and some crocheting along there. Journaling pages. This particular paper is the back side of an Artie Mays journaling page. This is another one of those. This is a Hyde Park Turnpike back in the day of 1792. Another charm. This one is of a hat. More of the tags. This is another one of those. It's a description of Aden Castle, 13th century manor house, and it was between the Scots and the English in Northumberland. It was purchased and it was used as a farmhouse, and then in 1966 it was passed on to the management of English Heritage. So that's just an example of how the different societies will take a building once it's passed on to them and try to remake it. Here's another one of those. This is Queen Anne. It's a tag, and on the back you can use it for journaling or for putting a picture on. More of those interesting vintage London pictures. This is actually vellum from Tim Holt's Wallflower collection. This is another picture of Big Ben. More journaling pages. Some pictures of I guess they call them, just pictures of women that they have made them into like flower children. And I have extras of those that are included in with the book. This is an interesting picture from that of women Christmas shopping, and they call it the Toy Man. More tags that I've put a sewing stitch around. This is the middle, another one of those little lacy flowers. Over here and over here I have written some stuff about England. This is about tea, and this is about the pubs that are in England. Pubs are a big part of England's social and community. This is hats. This is from a hat collection. A hat by a lady that sells on Spotify. Her name is Deli Girl. I'll put that in the description box below. More journaling pages. I love to put finishes. I have different finishes that I put on tags and on books. That these all came from those Etsy sellers, which I will put in the description box. This is an example of a collage that I made just on a piece of file folder, and how I have taken and put some Inca Gold on it, put a bow or a ribbon on it, and did some collaging here. This is called Trip, like taking a trip. And this last of the four is Queen Victoria. She's the one that had so many children, and now Queen Elizabeth II has surpassed her in the time that she ruled. Queen Victoria for many years was the longest reigning queen of England. And now that Elizabeth II is in her 90s and still going, this is from an old magazine, Queen Victoria is no longer the longest reigning queen. Again, taking papers. This has got a little pocket. You could, stick something in it. This is actually a paper that I found that has a shiny decoration on it, and I did some sewing of lace around it. Some of this paper has turned out to be sort of a greenish, yellowish, goldish. So I've put platform 9 3/4. It's just an example of how that was used in Harry Potter. This is actually another picture of Big Ben, and then we have here, this says, a fashion plate from the Gallery of Fashion for November 1798. Excuse me. The figure on the right is wearing a handkerchief shawl of silk, and the shade of red was sort of that color of the season during that period. Of course, now we have red as the color of the season during Christmas break and sometimes during Valentine's. This is a pocket that I made and put together, as a page. It's got a trim on it. It's got kind of a shiny where I did a gathered on it. This is another castle, which I don't have it labeled. And then these are two other tags from an Etsy seller. Just more of paper for journaling, and this is another one of those mid centers of the. This is actually a postcard, a bookmark that was done to advertise a flower show, and it was actually a bookmark that I cut up and used as a tag. Just more of the pictures from old calendars. I think this one was from a calendar or just from books or from photos that I come across. This is a couple of pockets that can be actually used to put in a book or however. This pocket here is from the phone, lots of the phone booths that are still in London, or actually all over England. Many of them have been converted into other things. Some of them have been converted to like honesty libraries where people exchange books. Some of them have been used for ATM machines. They're all over England. And this is just a picture of a thatched roof, which is sort of a signature home in countryside of England. More journaling pages, more lace, and this is the end with a couple of tags from of a town in England that's got the phone booth, and then this one is an actual paper from a Tim Holtz collection that I converted into a tag. And this is an actual heart here on the back. The book is actually this from a hardback book. It's about 6.5 by 5 and something, and then it has four signatures, and so that this is about 2.5 to 3 inches. So this has got some of that glaze on the back of it. It's the shadow or the of the front of the book. So this is in color, and then this is sort of just done in a muted shade, and it's from an Etsy seller. So just a real pleasure and joy to put these books together, and they have. It just is. It's almost like I'm studying about England, finding out different things about England that I didn't know by just doing a little bit of research from some of the and reading the articles that are in so many of the magazines that I have. So, again, this book will be. It's called Heartfelt England, and it will be for sale in my Etsy store, Yesterday's Stash, and. thank you for coming along and watching this video and taking the time to let me show you the book. I appreciate you have lots of choices of places to go and look at some of these journals, but this is just a work of love here, and because I'm a lover of England. So thanks again, and we'll talk again.